Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, joined by Ross, also of Cultaholic.com, and we are here to talk about a little rundown of every wrestler who's ever had their world title stolen. Ross?
Bollocks. My title's over there.
What?
My title's all the way over there.
Second.
I've forgotten. Sorry. Yes, we're here, because it's been a big week. Chris Jericho had his title belt stolen. Thank you very much. I should have put that there before the video started. That is how much the Cultaholic Heavyweight Championship clearly means to me.
It's a bit ironic given the subject matter.
I know. Probably Tom did it. Blame Tom.
Yes, so we're going to run down everyone who's ever had their world title. Is it world title or just title?
Titles.
Titles stolen in real life. Shoot stolen, not kayfabe stolen.
Not like the way Tom Campbell stole this very championship here and then blackmailed us into get to a job.
Exactly.
Job which he still holds today.
He does. There's only one place to start, really, and that clearly is an update on the Jericho situation.
Well, we're sat here on a Friday morning, and this is the latest we've heard about Chris Jericho's stolen AEW World Championship. If you've been living under a rock, Chris Jericho went for a steak not too long after defeating Hangman Page in the main event of All Out. He then realised when he got to the steakhouse, whoops, I've got the wrong bags from the airport. He then went and sat down and had a lovely steak and sent his rented limo driver back to the airport with the luggage. That wasn't his. When the driver came back to the steakhouse where Jericho was presumably now full of steak, the AEW World Heavyweight Championship was gone.
Not for long. I didn't know what to say there because it wasn't gone for long.
No.
He reported it stolen
Yes.
to the Tallahassee Police Department.
Correct.
Do you think it was stolen? Just the manner in which it was found is really odd.
This is pure speculation on my part, and I reckon Chris Jericho had a little bit of bubbly.
Yes, of course.
And left it somewhere where he wasn't supposed to leave it. I saw somebody say that they I don't know who it was reported somewhere that they said the belt had been left on top of the car and the car drove away, and then, some people do with a mobile phone at the petrol station or something, I don't know, a cup of coffee on top of the car, drive away, and it fell off when they went around a bend. That might have happened. Who knows what happened to the belt, but it was found at the side of the road by Frank Price of Tallahassee, who is Assistant Director of the Florida Natural Areas Inventory at Florida State University. He sounds like a very important man. It was his 41st birthday on Sunday. He went out for, I don't know what he was doing on Sunday for his birthday. Let's presume he went out for a birthday stroll. There's nothing finer than a birthday stroll, is there? On a lovely crisp birthday morning. Mm-hmm. And what did he see on the floor by the side of the road? It was Chris Jericho's title.
He originally thought it wasn't the AEW, well, he didn't think it was an actual title belt. He thought it was a replica. Yeah, apparently.
I mean, the belt's worth $29,250, no less. So to think that was a replica, I don't know if that says anything about the craftsmanship. From a distance, it looks very nice. Very nice. I've had a quarter of this, and I'm slurring.
What is that there?
It's a thing out of Beer 52, Dream Factory, pale. 10.7 degrees Play-Doh.
Has it got a particular flavour about it?
It's a pale ale.
Oh, nice.
It's a bit of a fruity afterburn.
It's Friday, isn't it?
Yeah, gotta get down.
So, his wife, Mr. Price's wife, then Googled the belt, and it seemed to match the championship belt for AEW. There were knockoffs for sale on eBay, so Price didn't think it was the real deal.
Now, that's a shocker to me, because there aren't any official knockoffs as we're sat here right now, is there? People are making this belt off their own back and then selling it on eBay.
That's quite an effort, that.
Industrious bastards.
I know. So, in not celebration, that's the wrong word. Because it's relevant to the topic of title belts getting stolen, we're going to look at some other famous examples from wrestling history of belts being nabbed from underneath the champions' noses.
Well, I guess we'll start with the most famous example before Chris Jericho's ongoings this week, and that was Bruno Sammartino's WWF Championship, which went missing on the 27th of September 1965, the night that Bruno defeated Tarzan Tyler in the main event at Madison Square Garden.
I just looked down there and for the first time realised that the man he defeated that night was called Tarzan Tyler. That's
Tarzan Tyler.
That's good, that.
That is the godfather of Pac. Let's just make that up.
I was going to say the love child of Jungle Boy and Tyler Bate.
Whoa. That's deep.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But guess what happened to Bruno that night? He went for a meal. Was it a steak? Let's hope it was. Because he went inside the restaurant in Manhattan, as he normally did after these big matches, and then he locked the belt inside of his car, and when he finished his meal and came back outside, the car had been broken into, and the belt was gone.
Never advertise your car to thieves.
How do you advertise? Oh,
leaving
having
something
stuff
valuable on the
maybe
back
put it
seat.
in the boot. Who knows?
Maybe he did.
Maybe
Yeah.
somebody saw Bruno pull up to the restaurant and thought, "Oh, I've just seen him win the title. The title must be in that car.
Yeah, it's true.
It's in the boot. Let's just go in there."
It sounds like it's a pretty big one, isn't it? I don't know
It's
how
a massive one because the belt never ever was found. But I did more digging, and I've got no idea if this is the actual related at all. But the dates seem to match up because a man called Johnny Berend passed away in September of 2011, and his widow, as widows do when their husbands died, was cleaning out the attic, getting rid of coffee cups maybe. Getting rid of Christmas lights.
where you going?
I don't know. And what did she find? She found a Worldwide Wrestling Federation Championship wrapped up in a bath towel. I swear to God, I've had a quarter of this tiny can and I can't talk.
Now, in those days, were there many replicas knocking about, do you think? Or do you think this was the real deal?
Back in 1965.
No, in
2011.
Sorry. No, back in the 60s, because...
Back in I wouldn't have thought so.
So do you think this is
People
the real...
would have been making them with shoestrings and
is
car hubcaps.
Do you think this was the real deal?
I reckon this was the real deal. Anyway, Belt Man of the belts, where's his name? The guy who makes all the belts for WWE.
Oh,
Dave Milliken.
Yes.
He then bought the championship from Mrs. Berend, and he believed it was the actual title that Buddy Rogers brought and used as the initial WWF World Heavyweight Championship when the promotion split away from the NWA. Now, at no point do these two separate stories say that was the belt that was stolen, but Buddy Rogers came to the WWF with his championship, and then either 18 or 22 days later, depending on where you read, Bruno then defeated him and took that title, and then that title was stolen.
No, you've uncovered quite the conspiracy here.
So I'm just putting. I'm a hack. I'm putting two and two together.
No, I like
might
this.
be getting six.
No, I like this. This is. I mean, I was watching Bodyguard not too long ago. Do you know Bodyguard?
Never seen it.
You
Heard
know,
of it though. Yeah.
A lot of twists and turns. Bit of a roller coaster. A lot of surprise. Lots of swerves. Vince Russo would love it. I think this is similar. Bit of conspiracy going on. I like this.
But there is a reason that Mrs. Berend and then Mr. Berend before her had the championship. And that is because Berend was actually a professional wrestler.
Oh,
and he was friends with Buddy Rogers.
No.
So
Buddy sent him to steal the belt.
Buddy sent him to get his belt back. Who knows? We're just making up stuff here off the top of our heads. I found two separate articles and put them together to make a compelling story. And that's the news these days, isn't it?
I really like that, though.
Yeah.
I hope it's true.
So
It's a bit of an exciting story. Shall we move on from one iconic man in the lineage of the WWE Championship to another, other big iconic one of the time, I suppose?
You say that, but I read a report saying that he was blacklisted and sort of cast to one side by WWE because of what happened in this story we're about to tell.
Oh, not Bruno.
This
is the new Pedro Morales.
Morales. Obviously, we've heard of Pedro Morales.
Yes.
But I was reading an article this morning that said he was blacklisted from many things due to this rumour we're about to spin off
Really?
here.
It's pretty serious stuff.
I know, yeah. But he is the first, just to tell you about Pedro, if you don't know, he was a big bronzed beauty. He was a lovely strapping fellow who was recognised, he is, the first ever triple crown champion in WWE history.
Yes.
He won the world, he won the tag team, and he won the Intercontinental Championship. He was the first man to ever do that.
He did in a funny order. I think he won the world one first.
He won the world one first, yeah. He was the man who beat
Audacity.
Ivan Koloff, who was the man to beat Bruno after Bruno had held the title for 6 years or something.
Please tell me Buddy Rogers is involved in this one
He's
as
not
well.
involved in this one, unfortunately. But, where are we now? Right. Like Bruno, though, Pedro reported that his belt was stolen while he was in a restaurant.
Right.
Jericho is the third professional wrestler in the history, world champion wrestler, to have his belt stolen while eating some food. But many have called Morales' story into question because then wrestling historian Tom Burke, who knows what he does these days, purchased Morales' title belt from a pawn shop in New York, which led many to believe, and this is a rumour, by the way, this story has to point out, it's only a rumour, that Morales sold the title to pay off some gambling debts.
Oh, that's pretty intense.
That must have been a big gambling debt.
Really, he wasn't then wrestling historian. The story's been called into question since then because wrestling historian Tom Burke. Then wrestling historian Tom Burke.
Cheers.
Now, I don't know what he does now. Costume designer Tom Burke.
He could be dead.
But
it's a weird one. He's seen a world champion go to a restaurant, come out of the restaurant and see his title belt stolen, and he's claimed that something similar has happened to him.
Why would they blacklist Pedro if that story is to be believed, but not blacklist Bruno Sammartino?
Who knows?
Racism.
Bruno was the guy, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the top dog.
The most drawn champion in the history of Madison Square Garden.
He always
then
wanted-
he wasn't for a while, then he was again.
He always wanted to drop the belt because he was knackered. And then they'd be like, "No, come on."
There's a
Feature
fascinating
for a bit more.
documentary about Bruno out there. What a life he had. Rest in peace, Bruno.
And rest in peace,
Pedro, yeah.
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
died earlier this year at the age of 76. But that is perhaps the second. It depends who you believe, really. I'm not going to question Pedro Morales' morals. That's an easy sentence to say. I reckon it was.
Yeah.
Let's just speculate. Let's just a salacious rumor. Let's just throw one out there. How did it happen?
I don't know. Well, I'd like to carry this thread on. I think that Buddy Rogers, again, is just riddled with envy and just wants that title back. Because wasn't he... He was like Mr. NWA.
Yes, he was.
And they wanted to take that off him and give it to Bruno for New
Yes.
York, the New York market and everything, an Italian immigrant. I reckon Buddy didn't like that. And every champion since he's tried, or for the rest of his lifetime, tried to steal the belt from them.
All the way through to Seth Rollins today. Buddy
right.
Rogers is there lurking in the background. Next up, we have
What have you called him here?
Freebird Michael Purely Sexy Hayes, which is very Geordie. I thought it was pretty sexy.
Is that? I thought that was just you having a little joke.
No, it wasn't.
Purely Sexy
A
Hayes.
website on the internet had it listed as Purely Sexy.
I think it's pretty sexy.
I thought it was
Surely
pretty
it's pretty
sexy.
sexy Hayes.
Yeah.
Maybe-
Purely Belter.
Yeah.
From Newcastle upon Tyne.
Maybe he thought pretty sexy sounded too like not good enough.
He's
like,
quite
pretty,
sexy,
he's
but
all right.
not that much,
He's
really.
no Kevin Nash, but yeah.
But there's not much detail about this anywhere as far as I could see. If you know, please let us know in the comments below and put us to shame. But he had his NWA World Tag Team Championship stolen, and that is why if you go back and watch NWA Tag Team matches from that time, Michael Purely Sexy Hayes and Jimmy Garvin would sometimes appear with just one of the titles because the other one had gone missing. Nobody knows why. Nobody seems to know why. If you know Michael Hayes, ring him up, ask him, let us know.
So is Jericho's one? That's the only one so far we've talked about that's been solved to any degree.
Yes.
Jesus, that's really
No,
suspicious.
we solved the other one.
Oh, yeah, we've
we
solved it.
Bruno's one just before. But let's just make up a salacious rumour. Michael PSA's liked to party. I reckon he went to a discotheque. He was What was that thing Bill Oddie was a part of in the 70s and 80s?
Oh my God, I don't know.
God, that song they did, do the funky gimmick.
Yes.
Because Michael Hayes likes to say do. He was singing along to that, dancing with a woman in a discotheque.
Yep.
He put the title around her waist because he's flirty like that, and she walked away and nicked the title forevermore. That's what happened there.
Jezebel.
Tell Dave Meltzer, and he'll report on
I've
that.
just seen your next one. Now there's two. You've put points 1 and point 2.
There's
Is
one
that
more
'cause-
before that. There's one with even
I'm
less
so
detail.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
Read that one out.
So the next one concerns Bobby Jaggers and Ricky Vaughan (brackets Lance Von Erich). They asked for the public's help in finding the stolen Pacific Northwest tag team titles in 1985 by cutting a promo on live TV.
Which is available on YouTube, by the way, and it's heartfelt and it's emotional.
Is this just your summary of what they said? If
Basically, yeah.
if anyone knows where the belts are, please bring them back. We can't have a tag team match without the belts. There's a reward for
That's
them.
a direct quote, actually.
They lost, both of them lost both the belts.
They were just stolen from
That's
somewhere.
absolutely
I've
outrageous.
got no idea if they got them back. I presume they did. And who knows if they didn't? Buddy Rogers again coming back to nick tag team gold this time. Is there no stopping the man? Who knows? Next up,
This one, when I glance down at your notes here, I really like how it's Jerry Lawler. Jerry Lawler's the next man we're going to talk about, but there's two separate stories.
So one of them,
Jerry Lawler has not been the victim of two title thefts.
Jerry was the victim, but then he was also on the other side.
Oh,
So first of all, Jerry Lawler was signing autographs one sunny afternoon. God knows when it was. It was a long time ago. He was with the historic Southern Junior Heavyweight title, which had been the top championship in the Memphis territory for a long old while. As he prepared to leave, Jerry, he needed a piss, or maybe even a poo. So he went to the toilet, and when he came back, the title was in a bag which he left outside the box. When he came back to that bag, the title was gone.
I have some sympathy for all the other men in all of these stories that we've talked
That's
about
just
so
careless
far.
from Jerry.
We've had people leaving them in locked cars as they go in and have a bite to eat, right? Jericho took the wrong bags from the airport. There was a bit of a mix-up. We've all made a mistake like that before. Maybe not on that level, but we've all made that sort of mistake. Jerry Lawler went into the toilet and couldn't be asked to take the
Was
bag
there
with
not
him.
hooks on the back of the door in the 70s? Presume when this happened? Who knows?
I don't have much sympathy for Jerry, yeah.
And once again, this title was never found, and that was because Nature Boy Buddy Rogers stashed it away in his car and kept it forevermore. But then we move on to the next example with Jerry Lawler, and this time we're talking about Eddie Crawford, who worked around the South, notably in Memphis.
That wasn't his nickname, was it? You're about to read it out. That wasn't actually his nickname.
This is
oh my
this
God.
is not aged well. What we're about
No,
to
it
say
hasn't.
here. I'm just going to read this out, word for word. I should, by the way, credit Pro Wrestling Stories, the website, which was the main source for this article. Right, Eddie Crawford, known as the Snowman, was a black man wearing all white tights and mask.
Oh, Christ. Yeah.
Yeah, what do you make of that?
I don't want to comment on that.
Yeah.
I've got no idea.
Carry on.
He had something of a reputation as a malcontent anyway, so he began to publicly call out Lawler for holding him down because he was a black man.
It's a storyline that turned real.
Bit of a sensitive storyline, yeah. The Snowman defeated Lawler for the Unified World title, but his time in the USWA wasn't productive. Despite being the champion, the Snowman was kept in the mid-card while Lawler stayed in the main event. It does seem to be one of those... He was AJ Styles. Kofi Kingston with Lawler being the Randy Orton. Not suggesting that Randy Orton did that because of... Not for a second
just
suggesting
the
he did
world
because
title being in the mid-card.
That's the only parallel I'm drawing there. Eventually, his storyline anger became real, reminiscent of when Chris Benoit pretended to steal Kevin Sullivan's wife and then actually did. No, don't worry. No, it's fine. And then he forced Lawler to get another belt. Mate, hang on.
So Eddie nicked the belt because he was being held down, and then that forced Lawler to shell out millions of pounds, or dollars, sorry, on a new championship belt. So Eddie got one over Jerry in the end.
So they just never took it back off him?
And then Buddy Rogers swooped in to nick the belt.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
Yep.
That one's just open theft by another wrestler.
Just open theft, but presumably, yeah.
Now, I know that in these days, apparently you can, or like in the weird traditions of wrestling and the whole locker room code and the unwritten rules and everything, you can just accidentally get heat for anything. For spilling chicken on someone's food.
For not carrying water.
Right. He's released a song, by the way, Leo Rush.
It's a tune.
Soulful. But that's pretty, I think you deserve a bit of heat for that. Stealing a title, someone.
I'm not in the main event. Boo-hoo. People like Jerry Lawler more than... Well, Lawler still is the man in Memphis. You see, when Derry go back and he hosts the King's Court in Memphis, everyone still goes radio rental for Jerry Lawler. But still, in that sense, I'm a traditionalist because I like to see the world title in the main event. I was happy to see it all out, the world title in the main event.
I am as well. Usually. I think usually that's fine, except at the Royal Rumble. Then the Royal Rumble's got to be the main event.
The Royal Rumble's got to be the main event in that one, yeah. So, we come to the end of this video with a little story that involves Scott Steiner, which it's not really him, a belt being stolen per se, but Scott Steiner is involved, and because I like Scott Steiner, this is in the video. So, this dates back to 1999 and or 2000, when WCW makes 6 casts of the original Big Gold belt with copies handed out.
Wait. Give a bit of suspense for who they gave these copies to, because this is all a bit Lord of the Rings.
Nobody knows why they gave these. Well, the report I read had no idea why these copies were given out.
Okay.
But they were given out in either 1999 or 2000 to Kevin Nash, who would have been, I guess, making his way into the booking room at the time. DDP. Best pals with Bischoff, but Bischoff might not have been there at that time. I don't know.
I feel like Bischoff was there because this is before
the Vinnie Roo era, isn't it?
But Bischoff came along and they took control and rebooted everything in 2000. So maybe he was. Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett.
Well, fair enough, I guess.
The chosen one, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Scott Steiner himself, and then 2 more were made for the Right to Rumble movie, which is a good sign because you don't want to knacker the actual official Big Gold belt.
No.
Then we go forward to Bash at the Beach 2000, that fateful night. Hogan walks out on the company with Jarrett's cast. So Jarrett, presumably, had won the real one and then
switched it
for with his cast.
For his replica.
Kept the replica at home. But Hogan, I think this report is saying, believes the cast he got from Jarrett was the original Big Gold belt.
So Hogan's bit. Jarrett lies down for Hogan if you've not seen it. It's a worked shoot, but it kind of became a real shoot because Russo was legitimately angry at Hogan.
Yeah.
Hogan walks out with Bischoff in tow, and Hogan thinks, I imagine from this, he thinks that he's won the title from Jarrett, and because he's big old Mark Hogan, he thinks that's the real one. I'm just oh why?
The jabroni Mark himself.
He takes the belt. He thinks it's the real one, but Jarrett sneakily swapped it for the replica that he had. And Hogan walks out believing that he's in possession of the real Big Gold.
Past Jeff Jarrett.
I've got no idea.
He's a sneaky man.
It's an unclear sentence, but there's various possibilities. I think that's what they're saying here. Hogan walks out the company with Jarrett's cast, which he believes to be the original Big Gold.
So Hogan's just gone, this is the real one. Of course. But then we get to 2001, January the 15th. World Heavyweight Champion Scott Steiner allegedly keeps the original Big Gold belt at home and apparently begins to bring the cast he was given with the 6 that were made to TV tapings. This then gets passed on to Booker T down the line. Booker T debuts in WWF as part of the Invasion angle, and the world title you see, which was won by The Rock and Chris Jericho.
Kurt Angle briefly.
Kurt Angle, is one of the casts.
Wow.
And if I watched it back this morning, that world title in WWF looks a hell of a lot different to the real one you see with Sting in '97 and stuff like that.
Does that mean that Scott Steiner still got the original big gold?
So this is the reason I've included this in this video. There's the potential that Scott Steiner at home somewhere has Buddy Rogers, and alongside Buddy has the original big gold belt, which obviously Ric Flair took for ransom and stuff in the early '90s, and I think that's a wonderful tale.
I feel like
It's a big Scott Steiner, as we're saying here on this podcast, with no real proof, no evidence whatsoever, is a dirty thief.
this video has been filled with rampant speculation.
Rumour and innuendo.
To be fair, who's going to turn up to Scott Steiner's house to try and get the belt back? I'm not.
Jeff Jarrett might.
He's the chosen one with a guitar.
Yeah.
Give me that back, Scott. Got it?
But hopefully Scott Steiner does have that belt, and then years down the line, he just whaps it out at an indie show. Because that's the sort of thing Scott Steiner would do. And then he would hit Hornswoggle over the head with it.
Yes.
But that, excuse me, I've had a mare this video.
No, it's all right.
Mare. But we've had a fun time
We had a
telling
lot of
some
fun
stories about all the recognised title holders who have had their titles stolen. Chris Jericho, thankfully, after the Facebook post that was deleted, and with a police officer holding it high, the boyhood dream has come true, has been reunited with his. He is going to defend it against Cody at Full Gear on November the 9th, because Cody is undefeated in singles matches. It makes complete
Wins
sense.
and losses matter again.
Exactly.
Bloody
He's
hell.
undefeated in singles matches. He's got to be the number one contender, surely.
Yeah. Or play
So
a
we'll see what
Uno.
happens then.
Yeah. Right.
Play a Uno.
Thanks, Ross, for that. That was a
Why?
good story time. What?
Why play a Uno?
Oh, just because I don't think he's lost either.
Oh, he hasn't, no.
He might have done.
He's a tag team wrestler,
I was
though.
just saying it because he's getting a lot of flack from people who play Uno.
He does get overshadowed by the other guy, Big Simon.
Stu
Stu
Grayson.
Simon Grayson. That's why
Simon
I'm getting
Grayson's a
confused.
football
Simon,
manager.
Yeah, that's why I'm getting confused.
Stu Grayson.
Stu Grayson's a fantastic wrestler.
Robert Grayson from Peep Show. I'm Robert Grayson. No, I'm Robert Grayson. Thanks for that, Ross. Hope you've all enjoyed our story time here.
Again, we have to say a lot of that is just rumour.
Ah.
But, you know, we're YouTube, aren't we? We just take things that are rumour and classify them as 100% real.
Hope you have a Oh, sorry, I was going to do the
Yeah,
outro
you
now. I hope you
do
have a
it.
wonderful Friday. Thanks very much. I'm Jack. You can find me on Twitter at @JackTheJobber. Ross?
I'm Ross. You can find me at my local Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and on Twitter at Ross on Wrestling.
Thanks very much for watching, and leave your favourite stories about titles or just anything being stolen
We should
in
mention,
the
by
comment
the way,
section down below.
the original WCPW title was stolen. Did you see that on Twitter?
I thought they were just having a joke.
Were they?
I don't know.
I took that as real.
Buddy Rogers has got the
Buddy
original.
Rogers.
Has got the original
Oh, God.
WCPW Championship.
Bloody buddy, what's he like?
I know. Thanks very much for watching.
Bye.
Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments section down below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter at Cultaholic and on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do, then please do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic, where you can pledge. And don't forget, of course, most importantly of all, to hit subscribe and to join us.